4, 3, 2, 1.
This is the beginning of our shooting day, and this is my trailer. Each actor has an area where they kind of come and can hang out. And sometimes you'll have breakfast, and sometimes there will be one of the ADs.
Hello, ready for you in hair and makeup.
Oh, see? So now they're ready for me in hair and makeup. I usually start with hair.
Good morning, Will.
Good morning, Donna. And I usually do this first and then get into my wardrobe once I'm done. So Donna, in the difficult hair or easy hair to deal with?
Will's hair, as soon as we wet it, goes back just the way it wants to be, so it's actually very easy, I think. And that's it.
All right. So now we do the makeup part, which is always a challenge with me. My beard is so heavy.
We have to totally block it out because they want him to look very innocent.
What did I shave? Probably 3 hours ago. I still have to sometimes shave, and sometimes we have to shave at lunch too. This is half to a third of the makeup you use on like Saturday Night Live. Yeah, I was like spackled on. Thank you, Victoria. Now that we're done with hair and makeup, I have to get into wardrobe. This has been most of my costume through the movie are these yellow tights, my elf jacket, and then of course my elf shoes, which I don't know where they are. We're gonna get my harness and all this fun stuff.
Stick around, he's gonna take his pants down.
I'll let him know you said that.
Basically what we're getting on here is this safety harness so that when I'm flying around in the back of the sleigh, it'll keep me in the sleigh and not plummeting to my demise. Mark is actually who will be doubling me today. If I'm not funny enough, they get me out and they bring Mark in.
You know what he's been through today? I know he's been hanging through the thing on the back and flipping over the top.
And you're staring right at this thing coming at you.
Okay, let's lock it up. We're in the zone. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, action!
Reach on the frame as though you're pushing the button. Come back and make it power over crash. Just a little, you don't have to push the button and never
Yeah! Come on, my honeys! Go! Go! Pull it!
God.
All right, Will?
How
many hurts?
We're on the big slide.
But this is like a pickup shot from something we shot way at the beginning of the movie, there's this snowball fight that I get in. What they've done is recreated the same backdrop to make it look like Central Park in New York, even though we're here in Vancouver.
We're gonna have you throw in. The reason we're shooting is just that we need more directions for you to be throwing in.
Great.
So let's load up his arm. I think we're good. All set, okay. Action. You're a gunfighter, you're Clint.
Do one with your arm straight down, and we'll put your arm in digitally, and just do everything else with your body, but don't actually throw.
Oh, you're the man.
Do it, yeah. More hip. More hip.
Cut. It's pretty good.
God, thank you. I like the chicken wings, too.
There's not even film on the camera. It's just all set up. We actually wrapped 2 days ago.
Over here's the trench.
Today we are filming the scene in the mailroom. Buddy's father, Walter, paints the mailroom as this wonderful place where packages go all over the world and it's bright and shiny, and I'm like, oh, let's go. And I get down there and of course it's very dreary and scary and depressing.
Since Will and I have worked together now for a few months, we kind of get each other's sense of humor. And so sometimes I'll make little suggestions to him.
It tickles! It tickles!
Go down for it again, Will. Let's see if we get a tighter seal. Sometimes he'll have ideas that he'll want to try.
It's very suctiony. Did you see that? Were you aware that it does that?
The rule of thumb usually is shoot it the way it's written once and shoot it again with alternatives.
I like to savor each of those. Like I'm tiny, like I'm very small.
I'm more of a fan of playing comedy as real as possible, as opposed to trying to overtly be funny.
This place reminds me of Santa's workshop. Except it smells like mushrooms and everyone looks like they want to hurt me.
In a very real and sedate situation, play it big.
If I dive out onto you guys?
We're there.
Bumper.
I think in a lot of comedies, there's a potential to not invest in the characters. But with a character like Buddy, you're interested in where this journey is going to take him.
No wonder. Just a happy wonder.
Oh, yeah. That's so great.
I'm sick of being special.
Cut. Will, tilt down. Greg and Joe, take a look at this. Your job as a director is to tell a story. The challenge of directing a film is to make the audience feel like they're in the story and not pay attention to any of these things that all this work goes into. And cut. Check the gate on that. Your only job is to make sure that everybody is sharing the same vision, so that when the movie's cut together, it looks like one seamless film that doesn't draw attention to any of those things and just tells you the story and makes you laugh or makes you feel something.
I'm sick and tired of being special.
Cut. You good, Will?
Yeah.
Cut.
What? It's John and Greg are over here. I'm waiting for Will to come out.
I wrote Elf as a spec in 1996. Thought it'd be very amusing to see a large elf walking around Manhattan, and it just kind of bounced around for many years. When you're writing a script, you just kind of have to let your imagination take you there, take you where the story goes.
He's not Santa! He's a fake!
Make it the best story you can, the tightest story you can, and wherever it goes, these are very smart people. They can do whatever you think of.
What in the name of Sam Hill?
It came from David Berenbaum's imagination, first and foremost. It always starts with the writer. And then he, with John Berg, my producing partner, developed it over a period of time, over a couple of years.
Developing a script is developing the story and the characters and making sure that a film has 3 acts. An initial act where you set up your characters and you set up your situation.
I hear you're going on a little journey to the big city.
A final act where everything is concluded.
My son, I love you.
You want the characters to have arcs and to evolve. That's kind of development.
Once we got it to Will, he was excited right away and we were off and running.
Look at you!
Pre-production could last several months before you actually start rolling film. Part of the planning process for a movie like this, where it's very visual and there are a lot of stunts and a lot of special effects, is you draw storyboards. Of course, the storyboards are a framework that we deviate from a great deal, but it at least gives people an idea of how many people are going to be in a scene, the types of locations we have to find for the scene, and what they have to build for the scene, so that when you actually get to the set, everything's been pre-planned and all comes together. And then you hire people like your cinematographer, the sound men, the cameramen, and everybody has to work together so that you have one cohesive vision. This is great. This is the shot, and then we'll get another one that gives it a context. When you actually get close to the time of filming, there are executives at the studio that are involved early on. There are producers who are involved.
Wow, can we come home with me? I bridge the gap between the creative producers and the money managing producers. Basically, I'm here to make sure that Will Ferrell and Jon Favreau have everything they need to make this very, very funny movie.
Basically, my job is crew, budgets, answering questions, and dealing with problems. I'm the mother.
She also helps make sure that we are running on schedule, on budget, making sure all the unions are taken care of. She silently makes sure we're doing our job.
As a director, you're constantly being reminded if you're running behind in the schedule. Generally, you're given a certain amount of days. In the case of Elf, it's about 55 days. And you have to know how many scenes you could shoot in that time. And you have to plan pretty meticulously how many scenes you could do in a day.
All right, here we go. Let's try a rehearsal, everyone. Ready?
We start off taking the script and breaking it down scene by scene and into all its various elements. Then you take all that information and you make a schedule out of it. I stay on the floor the entire day right beside the director, running things, figure out, the blocking of the scene with the director, bring everybody in, show them what the blocking is.
You, sir, come up to this spot.
Discuss the shots for the day, decide on the best order to shoot the shots.
We'll be moving over to the forced perspective shot on the big set, and the B camera will be setting up the first piece of coverage here with Santa and Buddy.
And then we start with the first shot.
And action!
We just work our way through the day, sort of shot by shot, scene by scene, until eventually the film's all over.
Got it.
Unfortunately, Mondays are bad for most people, but for me they tend to be particularly bad because usually we start at about 7 in the morning, the whole crew, but usually I have to get here around 5 in the morning just to make sure that all the trucks are here, all of them are working, and everybody's kind of here and organized.
I'd say a typical day is anywhere between 15 and 17 for us. My job is to primarily work the floor with Jim, help set the background, spread information throughout the set, take care of the cast and make sure they have all their stuff and keep them informed as to what we're doing throughout the day. One guy didn't show up and they were looking for a slightly balding guy with a little bit of hair on the back, so I got pulled in. I just happened to match the character.
I need more Batante.
I take care of the cast. That's my main job. I check them in when they get here. I make sure they left the hotel okay, that they arrive on set, make sure they get their breakfast, and then we figure out what costume they need for the day, get them through hair, makeup, and send them to set when they're ready. This here is a circus, all the trucks and things that make up the outer perimeter of the film set. Hair, makeup, wardrobe, producers' trailers, and cast trailers. Hi, I'm here with my friend.
Yes.
And we know that it's the green costume for Snowball Alley now.
And are we up and ready?
In a few minutes,
Okay.
I'll come back and let you know.
Okay, great.
Will's always on time, he's the best.
On set, we're responsible for preparing the site, whether it's in studio or on location.
Sorry, man. Need to be on the outside of the curtains.
Getting rooms ready for extras or things like that.
You can have both.
I can?
Some of you have to have
Because I'm special.
Because you're special? Well, I'm a pushover.
Kind of the worker bees of the set.
I'm on the bell. It's a lot of pressure. It's a really annoying one. It goes, sounds like a car alarm, kind of like, woo, 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 woo. So it bugs everybody, but everybody hears it. We can call cut. And this kind of sounds like the penalty bell. So everybody knows to drop the work. You don't have anybody with a walkie-talkie.
Are you sure you don't?
Okay, here it comes.
Have my walkie-talkie? Are you sure you don't have my size?
Come on, guys, lock it up.
Makeup and hair goes through hundreds of people in the course of a day. There's been a lot of extras to 200 people. There's stunt doubles, there's photo doubles, there's Santa doubles, there's James Caan doubles. There's all sorts of things that we have to duplicate for stunts or for second units. Here you are in our trailer on a typical Elf morning. We have 4 makeup ladies, and we are doing elf ears. So this is a little gelatin piece that we glue to the ear, and then we paint, and it becomes lifelike, and on camera it looks like all these people really have ears.
We work with the director on coming up with the designs and the look of the show. Hopefully it's all going well.
It's going really well.
Oh, hello. Well, Nicholas's hair was colored last week when he had to match somebody who was older. Is that hurting? Okay, just let it sit there for a second. A lot of them have had sort of textured hair, and it's been zigzagged up and down at the front in the fringe area, so it's not too symmetric. They like them tilted back slightly. Apparently it makes them look even shorter, and I don't know how that works, but it's a perspective thing, so that's what they tell us. So we angle them back slightly and keep our fingers crossed that they stay on. So is that comfy now, Nicholas? Okay, then you can go. Thank you. All right.
Wardrobe. Let's let Ed relax. Let's take off some of his raiments.
My film and costume experience really came from being on the job. Studying art in school helped me very much to learn how to speak in visual terms. Anybody that you see walking around with clothes in that movie, I'm responsible for putting them on their backs, whether it be the people in New York City who just look like regular people, or the elves in the North Pole who hopefully look like pretty cool elves. Buddy really sticks out like a sore thumb. So when we were designing his costume, we were very careful to choose a color that felt very elfin and that stood out in the whole New York panoramic. The elf shoes we had to construct in such a manner that he could be running around the streets of New York in the middle of the wintertime and still be comfortable.
One of the hang-ups is I have to get in and out of this every time. So if I want to go to the bathroom, for instance, I have to take everything off, unclip my suspenders. If you can tell, it has these little clasps, and they're pretty intricate in that it's pretty hard I can't quite get them.
You have to have a pretty strong plan of how you're going to cover each scene. They call it covering a scene. What shots you're going to need to combine and cut together to make a sequence play. And of course, the more shots, the more time it takes to light and shoot. You have to have some shot where the door gets open, otherwise you just find them in the crane shot that we shot the other day.
You know what? It could be open from the outside looking back in.
You might be able to avoid the whole thing and do the whole thing here.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, you know, this would work just fine, really.
And we just jump cut from him saying goodbye to Papa, off the hug to Papa into the door opening. I think that could work. Different shots make you feel different ways. When you have a close-up of somebody and that person is sad, you're emotionally going to react to him more than if it was a far-away shot of a lot of people and the one little person in there is sad.
No!
You have to learn as a director how to best tell the story.
Film camera, this is a video camera.
Greg Gardner is an amazing DP. He had worked with special effects, with visual effects, with CGI and movies in a huge grand scale. He wasn't daunted by anything that we threw at him.
There's the director of the main movie, and then all the photographic elements, there's a director of that too. And I'm the director of photography, the cinematographer.
Well, it was more the idea that would you use this?
Show me this close-up
what
on the
we've got
dude.
right here.
Show me the close-up.
That we have to drive in for, because we would still do 75s, but we still have to drive in and pull. I would think you want to make them clean, right? We'll pull well back a little bit.
I did study art through like all the grade school levels and high school. This is what artists end up doing, art people.
The deer are passing over, it's true.
The direct photography is 3 departments. There's the grip department, the lighting department, and the camera department.
What I do is operate the camera, whether you have to pan the camera left or pan the camera right or tilt. There's all kinds of different ways to move the camera. We've got the gear head with the little wheels. That's my job to actually do the physical operating of the shot once it's lined up.
14, Frank, take 3. Marker.
I start with setting marks for the actors so they come to the same position each time for lighting and for camera position and so on.
Marker.
Nice slate, George.
And this is for identification purposes for the editors. Also load film, take care of the amount of footage that we shoot each day.
Whenever you see the camera moving, then that's what I do. Is I move the camera with the camera operator on there and the camera.
Action.
When you're moving the dolly, you just have to feel it. Like your body, you can't go like this as you're walking. You have to feel your steps so your body takes up the absorption. That's what makes it nice and smooth.
This right here is dolly track, and the camera will roll on the dolly down the track and allow the shot to move. So it looks like Buddy's walking, so it feels like the camera is Buddy.
I'm in charge of camera motion. The camera has to move with the actors. I'll set up a little railway so the camera can follow the action smoothly. If they have to remove walls, I will help with that. Sort of on-set engineer, on-set handyman, shall we say. And I'm also in charge of creating shadows. That is, you can put light onto a subject, but you can also take light off. And I do that with little flags and things that are assembled in stands.
The lighting department places all the lights. We have enough lights here to power a small town.
Some people are too shy to be interviewed for this, like our gaffer. Actually, he's probably just too busy because he is always making sure that the lighting is correct. The DP and he work very closely together to make sure that we get this excellent strobing effect, for instance, all are gaffered.
Important thing in my job is to make sure that everybody is intelligible, that we can hear exactly what they're saying, and that we're not bothered by the clutter of everything else that's occurring around here in the movie studio. Making sure that that doesn't distract from what they're doing visually and what complements the image. The image goes onto film and the sound goes onto a tape. When they say roll,
roll please.
Sound speed. I roll sound, camera will roll.
And roll please.
And what happens to synchronize the two is we'll see somebody clap something.
21 kilo, take 3. Margaret.
We need some point of reference, and that reference is a clapper. As long as they're both happening consistently in time.
21 break, take 1. Margaret.
We can reliably assume that the rest will occur in time too.
You know what? You could take over. I need to learn the soundman ways.
I hold a pole with a microphone on the end of it, not unlike this one. Basically, I try to point the mic at what the camera is seeing. If there's sound effects or something like that, I'll be pointing it at that, but the primary purpose of it is to get the dialogue. My arms used to get tired, but now it's more a question of losing the blood in my arms. It's uncomfortable.
What I am is stunt buddy, which is Mr. Farrell's stunt double. You run and you bang into walls and you hit hard things. And that's what I do because we can't afford to have the actor getting hurt. Started crashing and falling from the time I was 6 years old and worked my way up. That's where I got my practice, just playing a lot of sports.
You know that's not really me, right? Have you been thinking this is Will Ferrell the whole time?
You get to work with guys like that all day long. It's quite fun.
When you say we got coverage on, we shot that with Bob.
Yes, we did. We got a single on Bob for this.
Good.
What I do is keep track of what the actors say and do, and try and make sure they do it the same way each time, so that when the editor gets the pieces, it all cuts together. What you seem to be doing now is physically turning your whole body, rather than your head, which you seem to do in the coverage when we were shooting from over here.
It's really helpful for me because you shoot it from one angle and it looks one way, and then you shoot another angle the next day. I can't remember where everybody is. Jess, what's the narration under this thing?
But as much as Buddy was accepted by his friends and family, there were a few drawbacks of being a human in an elf's world.
So script supervisor, one of their important jobs is not just to keep track of everything we shoot and every angle, but to make sure that each shot will cut together. So now we're watching playback.
What do you mean? I record everything we do on a computer so that we can find any shot in the movie whenever we need to find it. Very handy when you're bouncing from Manhattan to the North Pole, to one set to a large set, small set.
How was that last one?
That was good. Print. When you like a take, you print it so that you get to watch it printed on film, and then you look at it in dailies and make sure that it's as good as you thought it was.
And action.
Well, I'll miss you, buddy.
They're screening the dailies in there. They get developed overnight, and then we screen them on a big screen to make sure that the focus is good and everything technical works, and that the performance are as good as we thought that they were. If not, we're still at the set, so we always have the opportunity to pick up a shot.
And if you see a sign for a peep show, that doesn't mean they're letting you look at presents before Christmas.
So at lunch, we all eat in there, and we all watch the previous day's work.
And if you see a sign for a peep show, that doesn't mean they're letting you look at presents before Christmas.
The biggest job of being a director is dealing with the actors, because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing, is the performance that's on the screen.
A lot of suction.
When you pick a location, you try to create opportunities for those actors in their performance and try to give them a place where they could be very creative. Especially a guy like Will, who's a very funny guy and very improvisational. He makes things up on the spot.
It's very sucky.
I like to have things built for him that he could play with, because the funniest stuff is usually the stuff that you find on the day.
It tickles. It's okay, it tickles. It's very sucky. You should try it.
Sucky.
It's sucky. And it tickles. It sickles.
It's important to be able to create a little bit of quiet and a little bit of stillness for people to be creative and never to let the actors feel the pressure of the production. Let's just run through the dialogue.
Okay, let's get it quiet, everybody.
In most of the movies I've worked on, the directors usually encourage some form of improvisation. And I think comedy lends itself to trying new ideas and doing something that's not necessarily written on the page.
We're best friends. We're tight. I don't know if I'd say tight.
No, we gotta make it more buddy, but...
John will sometimes go, let's just do one more and do anything you want. So I'll come up with different lines, I'll improvise, use a prop in a way that I didn't use before. I try to make it different every time, just to once again provide another choice.
It took a very long... Ooh! Wow! It's very suctioning.
And the key to a Christmas movie is the story and the message and the theme.
Treat every day like Christmas.
On the one hand, I wanted to get big laughs, but on the other hand, I wanted to make a movie that had the potential to be a classic that would show every year.
Maybe he just needs a little Christmas spirit.
When you watch the movie, you shouldn't be aware of any of this. The trick is to never let the shots, the sets, the special effects, or any of that take you out of the story.
It's good. Totally blushing. He loves it.
I love it. Do you want people to laugh? You want them to be scared? You want them to cry?
I'll always be here for you.
And I wanted Buddy to be a warm character that developed over the course of the film, and to be somebody that people liked and somebody that you felt for as you went through all of these trials.
What? Yes? It's the Golden Globes calling, John.
He's turned in a great performance, and I think that I'll be able to put something really nice together in the editing room.
I'll take a minute. 2, 1. Really now, 2, 1, last one.
Designer builds all the sets and comes up with all the artistic aspects of the actual backgrounds. He also oversees everything that the camera is going to film.
My domain as a production designer primarily being the visual elements of a film. It involves a construction aspect, it involves a decorating aspect, and then there's a property aspect. Property being anything that's handled by an actor. If you have a lot of construction going on, there might be, say, 16 to 20 set dressers, maybe 10 people working for the prop department, 50 carpenters, 20 painters. You'll start off with a few people, crescendo ostensibly in the middle, and then sort of taper off near the end. This project is a little bit different than other projects in that we're going to be racing full tilt right up until we wrap. So if you include on any given day the entire staff of my department, including set deck, I mean, easily it could be over 100 people. You get about 10 weeks of prep, and you end up with a 10 to 12 week shoot, depending upon how expensive or big or elongated the shooting process is for the film. Overall, out of a person's life, it's about 5 to 6 months.
My background was architecture professionally, but also I do a lot of carpentry. My dad is a carpenter, so I had both sides. To be an art director, you are the hub of information between the production designer and all the departments that are involved in creating the world that the actors act in.
I oversee the construction or the building of all the sets. I'm involved in all the design aspects for structural integrity, quality control to make sure it's all built to the right size, and work off the blueprints that the art department gives us.
We have all this styrofoam product. We have to come in and prepare them. I'm namely responsible for backdrops and any painted finishes. Sculptors will come in and they will sculpt the styrofoam, and then the painters come along and we'll lay a coat of white paint on it. The special effects guys who are coming in this evening are now going to lay snow over the entire thing and brings it all together.
Booties, real men wear booties. Booties are cool.
Sets always move. In this case, this set has been turned over 2 or 3 times, so I'm in charge of taking the pieces off the set, finding spots for them, and putting the sets back together. And a billet is a 4 foot by 4 foot by 20 foot square piece of foam, and there's at least 40 to 45 in here. They've used probably 3 pallets of fake snow on top of it. And we'll probably use more because this has 1 more time to turn over. It's going to become an ice rink. We'll use probably another 6 or 8 billets of foam for that.
I was doing theater and trying to break into the film business. I had a great teacher that said, only when your boundaries are established can creativity truly begin. So you need to know the size of your canvas. I have people on my staff who I can phone up and I can say, find me everything I need to know about the geometry of snowflakes. So all of the research I looked at had a very sort of Victorian feel to it. What we were interested in is the sort of rustic attributes, which led us back to our sort of Northern European atmosphere that informed our architecture. When John and I first started talking about the design for the movie, he had mentioned to me that he wanted the film to feel sort of like it was already a classic. It was already It's a Wonderful Life, where it had a sort of Capra-esque attribute to it. And I pointed out that all the films that he was mentioning were black and white. And we came up with the sort of notion that all of the color might be pulled out of the backgrounds of the North Pole interiors. I wanted to give a sort of overall patina to the film so that the characters could come forward in color, and have tried to sort of keep that thematically throughout the film.
Everybody else was concerned about it, like producers and stuff, about aren't the sets going to be too white? And as the DP, you have a control that you could say they would be beforehand, but the production designer was so in love with it, and I felt that I could control that. You really have to trust each other and try to realize the other person's vision.
When we chose the colors for the elves, we chose earthen tones and tones that could come from nature. Without being only Christmas colors, there's something very Christmassy about these little people wrapped up like Christmas packages.
It took about 5 weeks to build the whole set. These posts here can actually come out and just leave the ceiling hanging because we've hung it from chains off of the other roof of the studio. So we have 2 sets of walls which can be changed, and they fit in between the posts, and we have different windows which go in. What I like and find most interesting is when you look at the inside, it's completely finished, and the outside is a bare skeleton shell. That's the movie magic.
A large component of my work is moving furniture and picking up trash. I do maintain some continuity in conjunction with the continuity person and the props people. Whatever else we use to make our set look like what it's supposed to be.
So it involves a lot of digital photography, keeping track of where everything lives, endlessly moving stuff back and forth. We get anything from watches and rings to eyeglasses to toys.
All of these sets are designed so that they are modular. And we came up with this post and beam architecture, which is exemplary of the region. Some walls are log walls, some walls are vertical rough-sawn plank walls, and then some walls are horizontal plank walls.
I started in the theater and I worked my way over to film.
My job is to take care of any carpenter needs on set after the main body of carpenters have finished the job and the unit comes in. We prepped for this shot.
I know.
Okay, so we'll just de-prep it and we'll bring platinum over. We'll give us about 10 minutes.
Okay.
I move walls to facilitate lighting or camera moves. I work in conjunction with the painter typically. We take care of all the little loose ends on set.
I'm here for two reasons. I'm here for the production designer to help complete areas of painting, and then I'm also here for the camera department to perhaps dull areas. Say if there's a wall that the camera is reading is too hot, I'll knock it down 10% or 20%.
This technique that we are exploiting, forced perspective, it's an old-style in-camera trick. We mess with the exposure and the focus, so something that's in the distance actually appears to be right beside you. So you misdirect this actor's eye focus, and then you misdirect that one, and they look like they're standing beside each other and talking to each other.
The actors really have to get eye lines right because they can't look at each other. Let's say they're sitting side by side. They can't just look like this because one's up here, the other's back here. So one's kind of looking this way, the other's looking that way, and it appears they're looking directly at each other. It involved a very short period of time to figure out the math, and it involved working really closely with the art department, the DP, the director, props.
Yeah, they do line up.
They do?
Yeah.
So that's directly across from each other.
That's right.
Okay, so we have to, if we slide her back down, then we have to give her an upstage eye line.
That's right,
Okay,
and will
good.
it downstage on it.
Good. Okay. So let's adjust their eye line one more time.
So it involves a lot of coordination, a lot of understanding from a lot of different people to really pull it off.
Oh yeah. Take a look at
pretty
that.
good?
Yeah. That's beautiful. I take the angle, I take the light, make sure that we know what effect is being written down. I work a lot with the camera crew and I take camera notes. Can we center the work tables to the room?
The forced perspective process, we have little set pieces that are in the foreground, and so we ended up cutting up furniture, and some props are really big, some props are really small, but when you look through the camera and line it up properly, it all looks like it's one set.
These guys really place him in there, and then
works well, yeah.
and then you hide this line, and then you've got a complete illusion.
That's the standard size Etch-a-Sketch that we see with Will. The elves need one that's that much bigger, so when we see them, they'll appear to be 4 feet tall and holding something that we know to be this size. And we had some parts machined to duplicate what's in a real Etch-a-Sketch, which is like this one. So we've duplicated some of that so that we can see the elves assembling an Etch-a-Sketch. We had to find some sand that wouldn't stain the actor's hands, the containers for the sand, the scoops, and all of it has to be in 2 sizes, and very precisely 2 sizes. One is exactly 150% larger than the other.
This is what we call the elf scale set.
The ceiling is much higher and the chairs are much bigger and everything's bigger, but it's an exact replica of the other set. And we show all the elves that we want to look small on the big set.
The nomenclature we developed is elf scale or buddy scale.
You stand in the small version of the set, everybody looks really big because they're close to the ceiling and all the chairs are little.
The set is built as if it's in scale for this person. This is a 4 foot to 4'3" person, which is how big we want the elves to appear next to a human. So we use these for a scale reference. When you put Buddy in that set, it should be exactly 2/3 too small.
A lot of the scenes with the fireplace, we were reluctant to have the fire burning because the fire has to be in your scale.
Okay, right.
Otherwise, the physics of the fire betray the illusion. So you couldn't put the big room with a small fire.
Right.
So the fire can actually play.
Right.
But if you had this fire in the big scale room, it would seem too small.
It's exciting to watch on the screen, even in the monitors. The elves are so colorful and the background is so muted that it looks like it's all an effect shot all the time. Later on, when we tell people that there's no digital effects at all in the North Pole stuff, nobody will believe us because it looks so hyper-real.
Bye, Choo-Choo. 2, and bye, Sunshine.
I can look at the monitor all the time and think, wow, that's a cool shot. For me, it has been tremendously successful.
That's great cut. Check the gate.
Our love
love for, you know, special effects and monsters is what got us into this stuff. Stop motion was the thing that we loved most. We grew up with Gumby, Davy and Goliath, all of that stuff, plus the Ray Harryhausen.
Oh, yeah, Ray Harryhausen worked and
Willis O'Brien.
We lived in the Bronx, and when we saw King Kong, we saw him walking down the street in our neighborhood, and we asked our mom and dad to take us to the Empire State Building so we could see the crack in the cement they made. And that hooked us into monsters, and then I guess eventually we figured out how they did it.
Well,
and we started making little mini movies at home with
Yeah.
Super 8 camera. I was, what, 10 years old, and you were 12?
That's how you get into it, you know, you fall in love with something and it changes your life. I'm a character development, character designer. Take the Troll. It starts with a script, an idea, and you start visualizing it. You visualize it on paper first. You start designing characters based on their description. I fill pages and I let the director or the client choose which one. Over a 3-4 week period, I generated like 150 variations of this character that we ran by John, the director. Well, can you make it dirtier? Can you make it fatter? Can you give it short hair? You know, can you give it bigger eyes? Took a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little troll, a gremlin. He had something in his head, and eventually we got to it.
John wanted a simple narwhal design. He wanted him to pop up and say, "Bye, buddy, hope you find your dad." And he wanted the horn to come up like the Chrysler Building. Well, because it was a live-action film, I think our first initial reaction was that they wanted realistic characters.
So I did some research and I figured, oh, I'll make a little whimsical narwhal.
So you see some of Charlie's drawings, they're fleshed out more realistically like a narwhal whale. And he went through a lot of variations.
And John said, no, I want this little thing. I realized, you know what? He wants this. This is cute. And John was saying, I want the fun and all the quirkiness of stop motion animation. So he said, oh, that'll be easy.
Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad.
Thanks, Mr. Narwhal.
You take it to a three-dimensional stage, you know, so you can see it in full round. You can see how it looks front, back, top, and side. There's always a translation from the paper to 3D. Well, that nose looked good in the drawing, but let's make it a little smaller, a little bigger.
I sculpt these, what we call maquettes. These are like 3D study models of the 2D designs. And then from this step, we scale them up to the actual animation puppet size, and we sculpt the puppets. This is our walrus and our polar bear and our puffin. Now these two guys here, they're a slightly different technique than the puffin. We cast them out of a flexible foam rubber material. It's just like sponge rubber, and this enables us to have a flexible skin that can bend. Now inside this character is a flexible mechanical skeleton. This is what we call a ball and socket armature, and it's made in such a way that it simulates the skeletal structure so you can bend and move the character. And then on top of the foam, we did a flocking technique to give it a fuzzy texture. So it's got this soft, fuzzy flocking on the outside. And the puffin was a slightly different character. This guy, to simulate the mouth movements, we have what we call replacement animation, where we replace the beaks with different mouth positions to articulate different pronunciations. So when the puffin says, "Hey buddy, wanna pick some snowberries?" the animator replaced the mouth positions with these sculpts to simulate the pronunciation of the dialogue.
Hey buddy, wanna pick some snowberries?
So I went up north and worked with John in trying to block out how the characters were going to be photographed in a scene.
These guys are just our stand-ins for a lighting reference.
The gray ball is for shadows, to figure out how the light is coming in from all of the different sources.
It's like a funny game of pretending. You have to imagine what they're going to be like, what they're going to say, how they're going to move without them being physically there in the scene.
Too far. And then we'll take them out. Too far.
The real fun is when we animate. I guess we're gonna pick this up after Buddy runs past the puffin and the other little critters. I work with the animators. There are people who physically move the puppet. They're the ones that, let's say, are on the front line under the camera.
The calculations and stuff alone on the animation was incredible. And then the physical demands of a heated stage, and plus keeping track of it frame by frame, and knowing that you only had one shot.
Bye, buddy. Bye, buddy. Take care.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, buddy.
Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad.
Thanks, Mr. Narwhal. Bye.
We had an opportunity to figure out what our passion was at a very early age. I mean, this is what we wanted to do. And when you do it, as an adult, it's fun.
That's the key, to be able to attach yourself to something that you love, to nurture it and make it happen. It's great.
The expression is that when you're filming a movie, it's like shopping for groceries, and in post-production, you cook the meal. Cut. Production was about getting the movie shot, and post-production's about making the movie.
Overall, the whole post-production process would be anywhere between 9 months and a year. You have people working in the visual effects department, you have people working in the sound department, and then the music. There are probably 125 people involved in the post-production process.
Everything up until this point, although it's glamorous and it's exciting, and it's the part that you think about when you think about making a movie or being a director, the real creativity goes into editing the film, because that's when you decide what the movie's really going to be.
I have to take it the next step, which is to forget what intentions are and look for what could possibly be the best final movie. I look at all these different camera positions, and then I decide where the best piece is to use.
I'm here with my dad, and we've never met, and he said to me, sing a song.
We're going to review that part of each take. So I like that one because it's funny, he's self-conscious, and he prepares himself to sing the rest of the song. It leaves us a little place to go for the scene to progress and get funnier.
I was adopted, but you didn't know I was born. So I'm here.
And we use this part.
I found you.
So we like that part where he sings all high.
I was adopted, but you didn't know I was born. And now I'm here, and guess what? I love you, I love you, I love you!
Now we kind of like that ending, so we use that ending now. But we don't like what happened in the middle.
So we like the beginning and the end of take 5 and the middle of take 6.
And so we sort of stitch them all together by using cutaways to Walter and Amy Sedaris, who plays the secretary. Part of it's keeping it tight so that the scene moves and then making it feel natural. And that's really the trickiest part, is making it seem like we didn't touch a thing, that you're just watching it happen.
And he wants me to sing him a song. And I was adopted, but you didn't know I was born. So I'm here now. I found you, Daddy. And guess what? I love you, I love you, I love you!
There it is. That's how the partnership works between an editor and a director. There we go. We strangle each other.
The number of people that worked on this film visual effects wise is easily over 200, probably closer to 300.
Visual effects is one of the longest lasting and, for my money, the most fun parts of making a movie. I'm responsible for any situation that can't be shot normally, really. If we need the sleigh to fly through the sky, we have to come up with something that looks like the sleigh flying through the sky. The reindeer that were shot on location, who were just kind of peacefully grazing, in the shot where they leap into the air and are actually flying, they're CGI characters. Our steps are to join them to the sleigh that we shot on the blue screen stage, and in some cases replace that sleigh with a CG sleigh. There's many pieces that come together to make one shot. On the Avid, we'll stack all those pieces together.
If we do the job well, you look at it and you just see Santa's sleigh flying through the park, and you don't even realize how much trouble it was taken to do it.
In the snowball fight, to really make it as scary as possible and as fun as possible, we said there's not 10 kids throwing 10 snowballs, there's hundreds of snowballs being thrown. And what Digital Dimension had to do was make computer graphic snowballs that looked as real as the snowballs we photographed.
We created a virtual representation of the actors so the snowball can bounce off of them. And then we go through a process of lighting the scene. We merge the elements, then we control the subtle elements like the color, the grain, until it's totally perfect.
I think there's probably lots of kids who love to watch this stuff. There's lots of adults who love to watch it and to try to figure out how to do it. Using digital photography and home computers, you can try all the same stuff.
Once we stop making picture changes and when we develop what we call lock picture, we actually generate videotapes for the sound people to start working with.
I handle all of the dialogue, all of the sound effects, backgrounds, birds, wind, all of the sound you hear in a movie except the music. There's probably about 25 people that work for the sound. My job as the supervisor is to hire all of those experts and to let them do what they do best.
Well, this is really something. I'm usually...
Dialogue editing is taking the original production tracks that were shot on the stage. One angle will have a buzz in it, the next angle will have traffic in it, and all of those things we need to fix to where it all comes out very smooth.
You're so weird.
These are the sounds of the words, sound waves. Each thing is a word or a sentence, and that's how we work.
Then there's the sound effects, and those are broken into 3 categories, basically. One is Foley, which is the simple thing like the piece of paper crumpling in your hand.
We re-perform the actors with sound effects. If they're walking, we make the sound of their feet. The objects they're touching, we have to create sounds for that. The snow was one of the bigger issues in the very beginning.
What would you want the North Pole to sound like? Is it fluffy and soft? Is it crunchy? Is it fresh fall? Is it snow that's been there for 10,000 years?
Trying to get a real sound of snow is a little difficult in Southern California in the summertime. So we brought in about 600 pounds of snow ice, which is very fine. It's finer than snow cones. And we put on our big snow boots and walk in it. And then we add other things like kitty litter, which crunches. And we squeeze cornstarch, which squeaks. And when you apply all 3 of those sounds together, you have snow. We try to record sounds that will fit in the movie to either sound real or to sound funny. And in this case with Elf, we're trying to find many ways to make the audience laugh. These are fun. Try to hide these in every single movie.
And then there's what we call hard effects. So Santa's sleigh needed a sound. I can't go out and record Santa's sleigh. It has to be something that's created, but that the audience, when they hear it, they go, yeah, that's Santa's sleigh. The difficulty in doing comedy is that you don't know really what the audience is going to respond to. But there are a lot of fun sequences where the sound really accentuates the moment.
We're in post and now we're scoring. And this is, kind of the best part of the process for me, because you get to see it all come together. Everything that has to do with music I'm involved in. That includes songs, hiring a composer, putting together the scoring sessions.
I meet with the director normally and we discuss style and we discuss different aspects of the movie. And then I go away in my little room where I have a piano and I have lots of synthesizers, and I start to create some themes.
Another group of people that work with us will create a written form of what his synthesizers are, which I then take and put into a full score. I will put all of the notes all on this one piece of paper that the conductor then uses to conduct the music. The music copyist actually will make another piece of music that will take just that top line, which in this case would be the flute, and make a flute part. And then all the way down, everybody gets their own piece of paper.
I wanted to do sort of a traditional Christmas score, but I also wanted to give a little edge to it. The film itself has a nice little edge, sort of you have some broad comedy and yet you also have some more subtle comedy. And I wanted the music to reflect some of that just a little off-center feeling. So I used weirder instruments in a couple of spots to give it a little more interesting left-of-center feel to it. All right, gang, look at bar 4, please. Who's doing the sleigh bell?
It's an orchestral score, and it's a score that makes a lot of comments on the action and also plays the dramatics, but balancing accordions and wood flutes and guitars and things like that against the orchestra is a task that is a bit more challenging than a typical orchestral score.
I've never been on a stage like this before with all these instruments, and the sound of the music that he's composed when seeing it with the movie is really exciting for me as a director. These are all, concert musicians, so they're the best at what they do, and to hear them playing this music really adds a whole emotional layer to the film. It's wonderful. This is the last step before the movie's complete. It's the final mix. This is where you really make the movie look professional and make it sound like a real Hollywood film.
That one's really squeezed.
Right now we're sampling some burps for Buddy at dinner.
I re-record the dialogue and music. Re-recording means that it's already been recorded once, and I'm actually re-recording it, adjusting it, making it fit in the theater, and making him happy, because that's kind of what it's all about.
In the final mix, we take all the music that we scored, all the songs that we wanted in the movie that were recorded from elsewhere, all of the dialogue that we recorded on the set, all the ADR and looping that we did with loop groups and with the actors that came in after the fact, and sound effects that were pulled together by John Levesque and his team. And we have it all available on these mixing boards here, and we mix together the elements and figure out what proportions we want the music to be compared to the sound effects, compared to the dialogue. And so we want everything to be understandable, but we also want to make some creative choices. Certain times you might want the music to sweep a little bit more, or to really hit you front and center.
Did you hear that?
This is the fun part. This is when it all pays off.
Tonight is the premiere of the movie in New York City.
What we do now is we show up and we walk the red carpet and we talk to all the different news outlets, and that helps publicize the movie.
The lights, the feeling, the people, the hustle, the bustle, the feral.
Tremendously excited. Amazing. Amazing. It's great.
Why is there no candy cane? How do you expect me to maintain my weight?
I'm completely in a Christmas mood, but I've been in one all year.
It's sort of closure of the whole experience where we could sort of all get together and enjoy what we've done. This is a night that's going to be great and I'll remember forever.